welcome back to 1-2 Punch, the fighting games show hosted by yours truly. I am Zorine. Welcome back. To anyone who's joined us before, it's good to see you all here again. I hope you're all having a great week. This is our 4th ever episode. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is 1-2 Punch, a fighting games themed show, I guess. You can hear us on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, or if you're listening to us via podcast, hello. And you can also watch this video in video format, yes, glorious 1080p on YouTube if you are so inclined. We're also there. So welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I am Zorine, and we have a lot to talk about this week. So much. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to dig into it all. But firstly, if you have any feedback or if you want to join the conversation about 1-2 Punch, you can tweet using the hashtag 1-2punch. That's just the 2 numbers, so 1 and 2 punch. 12 punch, I guess. Or you can also hit me up on Twitter. I am at Zorine. That's at Zorine. I read all the tweets. All feedback is appreciated. And if you have any specific questions you'd like me to answer, those are very welcome as well. So we welcome all feedback. So yeah, 1-2 Punch though. Very exciting time. Now, the topics that we are going to be covering for today. Firstly, I think it goes without saying that Evo Japan was a huge success. There were, a few teething issues. Admittedly, I'm not going to gloss over those. But I heard the event was amazing. The high level of Street Fighter, play that was on display was also amazing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it live because I was in Boston covering the E-League Major, CSGO, different game. But Evo Japan, I tried to tune in whenever I could, and it was just really awesome to see. And the higher level of play was, I guess, it's not surprising given that it is in Japan. A lot of Japanese players came out in force. There were a lot of announcements at Evo Japan as well, and we'll get into that in just a minute. And beyond that, Dragon Ball FighterZ, that's right, FighterZ. I'll explain more of that later on, but there's been some really, really cool landmarks set by that game as well. We had more Soul Calibur 6 characters confirmed. And in addition to that, King of Fighters XIV had also more DLC characters confirmed. So quite a lot of announcements went up over the weekend during Evo and also last week as well. Quite a bit of news. There's some very minor player movement as well, but outside of that, been a crazy weekend. I hope that for those of you who attended Evo Japan, are real curious to hear what the event was like in person. I know that pools apparently were a little bit haphazard, but I guess, it's the first time they ran the event, so there will be some teething issues, but we'll get right into all of this right after this break. Thanks, everyone. Welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. Street Fighter. So much Street Fighter happened over the weekend. Actually, in fact, a lot of fighting game stuff, happened over the weekend. Quite a time to be a fighting games fan in general. But let's dig into Evo Japan. My gosh. Okay, where to begin? Evo Japan. The first ever Evo held in Japan. First time branched out of the United States. Traditionally, Evo is, one of the biggest fighting game tournaments held in America. So branching out to Japan was a pretty big deal. The tournament took place over the weekend, so January 26th to 28th. Just to recap, there were 7 games that were hosted at Evo. ARMS, King of Fighters 14, BlazBlue Central Fiction, Smash Brothers for Wii U, Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2, Tekken 7, and of course, Street Fighter 5. So let's go through the results. There were quite a lot of entrants. I believe that Street Fighter V was, of course, the most popular game. I think it was over 1,200 people entered that game alone. And Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2 was the second most popular game. No surprises there that it was the second most popular tournament, given the size of the game's player base in Japan. From what I know, the scene is still quite strong there for Guilty Gear. It's very popular. And the third most popular game was Tekken 7, which had more than 1,200 entrants as well. So a lot of people entered this tournament. And I can only imagine having to play through the pools. Like the pools alone for this tournament must have been just crazy. I know a lot of people traveled as well from the West. You know, we had US players going over, and I know personally, like my Australian homies went over as well. Shout outs to Australian FGC. But let's dig into these results. All right, so top 8 equals 7th. We had Itabashi Zangief and Storm Kubo. Itabashi Zangief, of course, the Zangief player, also used Abigail throughout the tournament. Storm Kubo also on the Abigail. Really interesting that a lot of Abigails happening as well in this tournament. But you know, the character is so strong at the moment. So in equal 5th place, we had MOV, who was using Chun-Li, and Human Bomb, who was also using Chun-Li. Human Bomb, of course, being the Hong Kong player, also spent a lot of time in Australia, so he is the honorary Australian. I know a lot of Aussies were cheering for him. And he had a pretty tough run as well. But, you know, equal 5th at Evo Japan is no small feat. Sorry, yeah, it's no small feat. It's not an easy thing to achieve. So well done to both those players, MOV, Human Bomb. You guys played well. And Chun-Li, nice to see Chun-Li back in, in tournament results as well. I think that character, she did get a little bit buffed in the arcade edition of Street Fighter V. So really good to, see people still using her, even though apparently Human Bomb posted on Twitter afterwards that MOV said that he was not going to be using Chun-Li anymore. So I don't know how true that is. Talk about abandoning a character, but if you want to win, top tier is the easier way to go. So for those who are unaware, there are Street Fighter in Street Fighter, some characters are classed in higher tiers than others, meaning that they are stronger or easier to win with. And for that reason, players tend to veer towards those characters. And then you have character loyalists like myself who just stick with whatever character they happen to like and won't change no matter what. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if MOV really will move on from using Chun-Li, but we'll see. Then in 4th place, we had Tokido. Tokido using Akuma, of course. Echo Fox's Tokido. Interesting that he... Honestly, I kind of thought he would make it to the grand final, but, 4th place is, again, amazing performance. And he, it would not have been an easy run for him. And, he was consistently placing really highly. 4th place is still really, really good. So to be placing consistently high at tournaments, especially Evo Japan caliber, not an easy feat. So Tokido in 4th place. 3rd place, we had Daigo, the Beast, who was using Guile. I didn't actually get to catch Daigo's matches live, but I did see the amazing GIF that was circulating online of him getting up and going to the Red Bull fridge, get grab an energy drink right after a match. It was very funny, very Daigo. But yeah, 3rd place was Daigo. So wow, Daigo the Beast, he's coming back. This might be his return to form, you could say. Who knows? So the grand final took place between Infiltration, South Korea's Infiltration, and Japan's John Takeuchi, who is I guess compared to all the rest of the people who we have on the top 8 list, is relatively new. I know he's a young guy. I think he's 18 or 19 or something, but he was using Rashid, and Infiltration was using Jury in the grand final, but I think he also used Mena as well throughout. Interesting grand final. I have to say, I would not have predicted this, but I think that's actually a really good thing. Having new players and new names surface for big events like this is only beneficial to everyone, really. It builds hype, builds a lot of interest. You don't see the same names over and over again. And John Takeuchi actually came into the grand final through the winners bracket, and Infiltration came up through losers. So Infiltration had to reset the bracket, and John Takeuchi actually ended up placing second, and Infiltration won the grand final in spectacular fashion, resetting the bracket. And, just the pacing of the game, especially with characters like Shuri and Rashid, I think are very visually dynamic. Like, they're very, very fun to watch, especially Jury. I think Jury in particular is very fun to watch. But well done to John Takeuchi for placing second and Infiltration for winning first place at Evo Japan. If you haven't seen the grand final, I highly recommend going to watch it. It's up on YouTube somewhere. And it was live streamed as well on twitch.tv/Evo. I know that there were some complaints about the lack of live stream for pools and such for the other games, but it's Evo. Like, it's the first ever time they ran it. I think, all things considered, they did what they could. And especially with, dealing with foreign players who may not understand, or, there's just a lot of confusion all around. But anyway, I wanted to also highlight the players from the West or players outside of, I guess, the Asia region who turned up and show results. So Mena RD, who of course was the Capcom Cup winner from Dominican Republic, he placed 9th with Birdie. I mean, 9th is still pretty damn good if you ask me. Justin Wong, representing the USA US of A, placed 17th using Karen. Angry Bird, relatively, I think this player is like, his stock is on the rise. He's a really interesting dude. Plays Akuma, represents the United Arab Emirates, and he placed 25th. Tempo Storm's Alex Myers using Cami, from the US, of course, placed 33rd. And I'm just scrolling down. Then we had an Australian player place equal 49th. BK Summer. Nice, BK Summer. I know. I remember you. Place equal 49th using Dalsim. And fellow Dalsim player, Filipino champ, F-champ, also placed equal 49th. And if I go further down the list, Mr. Crimson, Smug, and Ricky Ortiz all placed equal 65th in the Street Fighter V tournament. So there you have it. So after the grand final, after Infiltration won in spectacular fashion, everyone was saying that, like, oh, Infiltration's back. He's back. He was previous Evo winner, now is back in form. Went and got married, now is back in the game playing. Anyway, to which he retorted on Twitter, I believe. He made a post. He was like, but I've never left. So he also said, because he won with Jury, that people will probably say Jury's top tier now or whatever. But I don't know. I think we can all acknowledge, Jury's got her challenges if you wish to play her. But it's an interesting time, especially after big tournaments like this. It's interesting to see if the meta or the character tiers will shift. I remember when Luffy won Evo a couple of years back with Rose, who was traditionally, well, at the time, viewed as a lower tier character. Her stock just went up, right? She shot up the tier list. So it'll be interesting to see. And well done to all players who competed at Evo Japan. And we'll be right back to talk about all the other tournaments that took place at the event right after this break. Hello. Welcome back to On to Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. What a funky beat. If you're listening and you'd like to leave some feedback, don't forget you can hit us up on Twitter. I am at Zorine, that's at ZORINE. You can use the hashtag #OneTwoPunch. And I read all the tweets, all the comments, also the comments on YouTube. If you wanna leave a message on YouTube, I also look at those. So we were just talking about Evo Japan, and I did want to quickly visit the other games as well. So we'll go through the top 3 most entered games. So Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2, the second most popular tournament, at Evo Japan. Let's go through the top 8. So equal 7th place, we had Kedako, excuse me, bit of a tongue twister. Kedako and Lox, who placed equal 7th. Equal 5th, we had Machabo and DC. In fourth place was Rookie. Third place was Kazunoko, probably a familiar name to the Street Fighter 5 fans, or Street Fighter fans in general. Kazunoko, of course, being a Street Fighter veteran. Well done, placing third in Guilty Gear as well. Man, juggling 2 games is not easy. Second place is Omito, and first place is Nage. So well done. Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2, obviously still a very strong player base in Japan, still very popular there. So, and I think that will only continue to be a thing there. And then we have Tekken 7, the third most popular game. A 3D fighter compared to the other two, which are, you know, a bit more 2D, 2.5D. So in equal 7th place, we had Take. Of course, familiar name for all the people who follow Tekken 7. Low High also placed equal 7th. Equal 5th place, we had Noroma and Ulsan Goding. Noroma, of course, as well, being another familiar name. 4th place, Echo Fox's Saint was there. Played amazingly. I'm sorry you couldn't make it into the grand final, Saint. He's such a great guy. I really like Saint. He's my homie, you know. But he placed 4th, which is, again, you know, like, and I keep saying this, but I just really want to, like, you know, I really want to emphasize that placements like this are still a very big achievement in the fighting game scene. Like, I know everyone, you know, some people say, like, oh, if you're not first, you're last. Like, whatever. Like, I think placing in top 8 making top 8 is great. I would be so happy if I made top 8 in any tournament. So that's just the way I look at it. Third place, we had Gura. Second place, Chanel. And in first place, we have Nii. Nii is back. Rocks Tiger's Nii. Well done. South Korean player, of course. Powerhouse. Now, some people may be wondering where Tekken World Tour winner Kudan's was. He actually placed 9th. Didn't quite make it into the top 8, but you know, it was a pretty stacked tournament. Looking at the list of names itself, pretty top tier Tekken players, high quality players who all entered this game, who entered this tournament. Sorry, Evo Japan. So no surprises there, but do have to go back and watch that final. Concluding thoughts on Evo, I think the lack of English streams for pools really hurt the international audiences. I know there were probably restrictions in place. I don't know if those restrictions were a byproduct of, you know, an exclusive streaming deal or something Evo Japan may have signed with whatever other platforms they were streaming with. I don't know. Who knows? And I know I saw, you know, the second side of things, like Aris from Avoiding the Puddle wanted to restream, you know, just to provide like English commentary on some parts of the tournament that weren't streamed in English, and he was refused. So, you know, there's probably something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But again, you know, these kind of things, especially where there's commercial deals involved, it's kind of hard to navigate around those. So it's a shame, because I think it would have been really great to have like an international audience there. And I know the time zone difference wasn't great as well. I think it was like 3 a.m. or something, like on the East Coast. So, you know, midnight was when the grand final started for some game in America. So, like, you know, again, the timing probably wouldn't have been great, but at least have the option. I know a lot of the matches are up on YouTube now anyway. So if you want to catch them as an English speaker, like, it's there, you can find it, but it's a shame. If you were able to watch the grand final in person in Akiba, let me know. I know it was a bit of a mess trying to get tickets for this, so I wonder if anyone from the outside of Japan or Korea or Asia community was able to attend, because I'd like to hear what it was like. I heard that like the venue itself had capacity for like 150 people, which is enough people to make some noise, but it's not Mandalay Bay, you know. I mean, Mandalay Bay kind of takes the cake for Evo. But there were like viewing parties and such organized. But the whole thing was just like, come on, Evo. Like, anyway, Evo Japan is hosted by a separate, or run by a separate team to Evo US. So I think they probably were learning a lot of things as they went along, and hopefully they learn their lesson for next year, because apparently Markman kind of teased a Evo Japan, I guess, not quite an announcement. So basically, after like the tournament, he went up to the mic and was like, hope you enjoyed Evo Japan, blah blah blah, etc. Hope to see you all next year. And then he just like sat down. So it was like subtle announcement for Evo Japan next year. So we have something to go off. There's probably going to be another Evo Japan next year. So 2 Evos a year. Very nice. They also confirmed that the Evo 2018 US game lineup will be announced on February 7th. So I think it's like just like a week from now, they'll be announcing the game lineup. I think it's going to be obvious that Street Fighter V is going to be there. Tekken's going to be there. Don't know about MVCI. That's an interesting one. Or Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's going to be super interesting. But the announcement will be revealed on February 6th. February 6th. Evo 2018 USA, of course, takes place August 3rd to 5th. In Las Vegas again. I don't know if they're returning to Mandalay, but we know it's going to be in Vegas. So at least, if you want to book tickets or something, you know where you'll be going. And it'll be interesting to see how many games they announce. Is it like 8 or 9? I can't remember. But yeah, so that announcement's coming soon. Also, on the topic of tournament announcements, they also announced Red Bull Kumite 2018. Yes, that event is back. They didn't go into super details, but it was announced that the tournament will be coming back. So we know it's coming back. And I wonder if, I think 2017 Red Bull Kumite, there was some date clashes with something else. Oh, what was it? It was like another major tournament. I think it was like the Street Fighter Invitational hosted by E-League, like Turner E-League. And it was like on the same weekend or same date as Red Bull. So it was just like, oh, that's awkward. Very interesting. And I do wonder, actually, because Evo Japan took place, I'm just going off on a tangent here, but because Evo Japan took place before Capcom revealed any details for the CPT, I wonder if the players who enter this tournament will be awarded any points retroactively. Is that the word? I can't remember. Is it retroactively or retrospectively? Confusing myself here, but I wonder if Capcom will kind of, reward points to the players like Infiltration who, won this tournament for the CPT, after the fact, and when they finally announce their details a couple of weeks from now for the CPT this year. Which, by the way, it's kind of ridiculous how late it's getting. In my opinion, I think they should really, push to announce these things earlier in the year so players can plan their travel and whatever and all those things like that. It's important. Anyway, so Red Bull Kumite is taking place in November. So November 11th. There will be a last chance qualifier on November 10th for it. As per usual, the event will be taking place in Paris, France. And in addition to this, a Red Bull Kumite qualifier series for Japan was also announced. So you can find more info. This is via shoryuken.com. The announcement was made over the Evo Japan stream. And I guess we'll be seeing more of Red Bull Kumite later this year. So announcements, Evo Japan, there were quite a few. I mean, in terms of game-specific announcement, nothing too terribly exciting. They did announce Street Fighter V, Street Fighter V costumes for arcade editions. And it's a crossover with one of Capcom's other games, Monster Hunter. So I don't know if how much of you out there follow Monster Hunter or are Monster Hunter fans, but Capcom recently released Monster Hunter World. It's like this game. It's kind of like an RPG, like action RPG, I would say, and it's getting a lot of hype. A lot of my friends are talking about it too. And to celebrate this, there are some crossover Monster Hunter costumes available in Street Fighter V. That will be available. They're available for Ken, Mika and Ibuki. Sorry, excuse me, Ibuki. And you can obtain them using Street Fighter V's extra battle mode over the next 3 months. So in each of these characters gets a specific costume based on a particular monster's armor set in Monster Hunter. And actually, they look pretty sick. So who knows? I like them. I think crossovers are fun as well. And if you don't like them, then just don't play the extra battle mode. Don't really bother. Focus on the game. But we have more news coming up right after this break. Welcome back, everyone, to 1-2 Punch. I am your host, Zorine. You can find me on Twitter at Zorine, that's at ZORINE. And as usual, if you want to talk about 1-2 Punch, you can do so with the hashtag 1-2 Punch. But back to the announcements. So prior to this, what we were talking about, I was talking about announcements made at Evo Japan, of which there weren't like many super shocking, amazing ones, but there was a few. So as I mentioned before, Capcom announced like the crossover promotion with Monster Hunter World, where characters in Street Fighter V can have extra costumes unlocked in the extra battle mode, and these costumes are themed in the vein of Monster Hunter World. And the crossover extends the other way as well. So Street Fighter V's Ryu and Sakura, they will have their kind of clothes, I guess, or there's like armor sets inspired by Ryu and Sakura's clothes. And players in Monster Hunter World can acquire these armor sets to reskin their characters to look like either Ryu or Sakura. So that's pretty cool. Players who actually have, I think this is interesting, but players who actually have a Street Fighter V save file on their PS4, when they're playing Monster Hunter World on PS4, they actually will be able to start a quest to get Ryu first before everyone else can get it. So if you do have a save file, you get earlier access than if you don't have a save file, which is, I think it's interesting. But if you don't, that's okay. Capcom says you won't have to wait much longer, I quote. So there you go. And an event quest for Ryu's armor set will also go back in rotation for all players at a later date, but there hasn't been any like specific dates announced yet. After that, 2 new event quests will then be added to the game for all players on both PS4 and Xbox One to allow Ryu and Sakura's armor sets to be crafted using Street Fighter V tickets. So on to the next piece of news. During the concluding ceremonies for Evo Japan, SNK revealed new DLC characters for King of Fighters 14. So there will be a total of 4 new King of Fighters 14 characters joining the roster. Not much was said about the characters themselves. We do know that one of them is going to be Oswald, who is the returning character, of course. He will be the next returning character. And then there was like a new female character who is from Saudi Arabia. There's some art concepts up from her, etc. But other than that, we don't know much about her yet. So KOF 14, still going strong. SNK is obviously still, showing some love to the KOF community, which is very nice. And then we have more Soul Calibur 6 characters were revealed last week as well. So we had returning characters Kilik, Xianghua, Nightmare, and newcomer Gro. And of course, we have like the initial characters who were revealed in the first trailer, Mitsurugi and Sophicia. Now, Gro is an interesting one. I know that, the devs also recently hosted a preview, I guess, a preview event for various game publications. So a lot of info or content about Gro. That's Groh. Is it Gro or Gro? I don't know. Well, I'm just going to stick with Gro. But a lot of content about Gro has been coming out over the last few days. So you can probably find articles up on like GameSpot, IG, and all the usual places. There's a couple of screenshots as well. He looks really interesting. Based on what we've seen so far, he kind of uses like dark energy, and he wields a double-sided sword. The other thing about him is apparently he's a character who's designed to be like a good pickup for newcomers, players who are new to the Soul series or haven't played a Soul game before. And visually he looks very interesting, very flashy. He kind of looks like a Final Fantasy pretty boy character, if you know what I mean. If you haven't seen what it looks like, do look him up. He's very short in, but he has like a cool weapon, double-sided sword, and the dark energy stuff is pretty cool. Mechanically, I think he introduces some new mechanics to the Soul series, and the fact that he's designed for new players to pick up as well, I guess, is also nice. Accessibility is cool, and I think it benefits growing the scene as well. Soul Calibur 6 was also playable at Evo Japan, so I think a lot of people have been releasing their thoughts on the game so far and what they've seen. Of course, we have new mechanics that were introduced. I think it was like reverse edge or reverse blade, reverse something that's kind of like cinematic and adds a lot of, interesting visuals for a game for people to who enjoy watching it. So there you go. Some new gameplay footage was also released by Game Informer publication that's up on YouTube. So that's it shows all the existing characters who have been confirmed so far, and they also showed a lot of gameplay. So check that out if you're interested in Soul Calibur 6. Sorry. Why did I say 4? Soul Calibur 6. We also got some more story tidbits confirmed. Delicious story. GameSpot wrote in its preview specifically that Soul Calibur 6 serves as a bit of a hybrid between prequel and a simultaneous reimagining of the original Soul Calibur. So it's kind of like a prequel, but also a reboot, if I'm reading this correctly. And it also covers much of the gray area in the story after the events of Soul Edge, while also laying the groundwork for something brand new. So apparently that involves revitalizing the core mechanics of the games and returning characters, which would explain the youthful appearance of Mitsurugi, Sufficia, like those characters. If this was going to be a sequel, they should have looked, I think, a bit older than they did. But it's interesting that this game is serving kind of like as a bit of a prequel and a reboot. It's very fascinating. I wonder if like the events of the story will run directly into the events of like the first Soul Calibur. Kind of like a HD retelling of the story there, as well as going back a bit further than like a bit before that. But interesting. In other related announcement news, SNK has also announced that a brand new port of King of Fighters 97, a game that is now like, how old would it be now? 20 years old? Yes, quick maths. 21 years old now. This new port of this game is coming later this year. So it will be called the King of Fighters 97 Global Match. And this port's main feature is going to be online play, allowing players from all over the world to fight for the crown. So that'll be interesting. KOF 97 Global Match, it will not receive any visual or gameplay overhauls. It just adds online play for those looking to play this classic SNK game against other people online. So, that being said, it'll probably get some sort of other bonus features like gallery or trophy or something, just because, modern ports kind of sometimes do that. We don't have a specific date on when this port is coming out, just that it's going to be released in spring 2018. So not too far away, but yes, so that's the King of Fighters 97 Global Match. I mean, the name itself even just alludes to the main feature here, which is playing online against other people all around the world. So there you go. KOF 97, baby, coming back at ya. Next news, Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's right. Notice how I'm saying fighters when in all previous episodes I said FighterZ. That is because Bandai Namco actually came out and confirmed something on their Twitter account. They actually said that the game, this is completely canon, that the game should be pronounced Dragon Ball FighterZ. Not FighterZ, not FighterZ, Dragon Ball FighterZ. So there we have it. This is confirmed straight from Bandai Namco themselves. We can't argue that, can we? I mean, this kind of reminds me, and I said this on Twitter, so apologies if you're hearing this joke again, but kind of reminds me when like the creator of GIFs came out and was like, "Yo, it's actually pronounced GIF with a hard J, GIF, like it's a hard G, sorry." And everyone was just like, "You are wrong. This is not right." And ever since then, I've just been pronouncing it GIF anyway. Like I don't really care. But yeah, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I don't know. It feels weird not saying Z because Dragon Ball Z kind of just rolls off the tongue. So Dragon Ball FighterZ feels like it makes more sense. I digress. But Dragon Ball FighterZ still going very strong by the sounds of it. I say still, even though it only came out like, 4 or 5 days ago. It was released on January 26th or 27th. I can't remember. But 4 or 5 days ago, not too long. It hasn't even been a week yet. If you are playing the game, let me know what your experience with online is like. I'm getting I'm hearing mixed things from a lot of different people. Some people have also complained about the archaicness of the design of the lobby system. Like it's very hard to get, games with friends or apparently the process is just like 2 steps too many and it should really be much easier. Like it should be as easy as inviting your friend into a private lobby and then you start the games and there you go. But no, apparently you have to do some roundabout way. I don't know, like come on devs, come on Arc System Works, why you do this? Anyway, Dragon Ball FighterZ broke records during its first week after release. Via Shoryuken, according to SteamCharts.com, Dragon Ball FighterZ hit a peak of 44,234 concurrent players on Steam, which makes it the highest number of concurrent viewers of any fighting game on Steam ever. So, new records. And just to give you an idea of how much of a gap this is, this record was previously held by Tekken 7. This is PC only, by the way. Previously held by Tekken 7, which peaked at over 18,500 players. So it went from 18,500 up to 44,000. Well done, Dragon Ball FighterZ. If you're playing on PC, let us know how it is. Yeah, we'll be right back after this break to talk about more fighting game stuff. Hello. Welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I am your host, Zorine. We are nearing the end of this show, or this episode, sorry, episode 4. Didn't mean to say show, whoops. Just to close out on a last bit of news that we had, Tekken Pro Tanukana, who is the Xiaoyu player, Blazing Trails last year, she has signed to Red Bull, or announced her signing to Red Bull as an athlete. That doesn't mean she's leaving her team, I don't believe. I think it's more like she's signing to the Red Bull athlete program or something. I actually not sure what that actually entails, to be honest. I did try to find more information about it, but there was not much. But she will still be representing her team Cyclops, last I checked. I don't know how much her signing to Red Bull will impact that, but this announcement was made on Twitter by Cyclops' English account. So I assume that there's still some sort of relationship there. And it also states that she is the first Japanese female to sign to the Red Bull athlete program. So well done. Congratulations to Tanukana. Red Bull, I know, has a boot camp for its current athletes. I don't know if that extends to esports, although that'd be very cool to see if that does. I imagine Red Bull, the signing to this program also means that they're going to be offering some sort of support to her, whether that be sending her to events or sending her equipment or boot camping, who knows. But, big congratulations to Tanukana. She was a very, very strong Tekken player who placed very well last year. I believe she came 3rd at Combo Breaker, which was pretty big. She only lost to, I think, Saint and JDCR, who were there as well. They were 1st and 2nd. And then Tanukana placed 3rd. Main Xiaoyu. So very cool to see her doing some really cool stuff. And I think at Evo Japan, it was really unfortunate. I think she got really sick and was unable to play some of her matches and had to unfortunately forfeit. So that's very unfortunate. But hopefully, you know, best wishes to Tanakana, and hopefully you bounce back and come back even stronger in 2018. And so that wraps up all of today's news. So much happened. I can't believe Evo Japan is done and dusted. Like we talked, it feels like we looked forward to this event for so long, and now it's finally done. But next up, we have Evo 2018 USA to look forward to. That's coming up in August. It'll be taking place in Las Vegas again. Really exciting event. And I think over the next few weeks, you know, especially next week when they're going to actually be announcing the games, I do wonder what games will be included. You know, there's a lot of big question marks there. I really hope Dragon Ball FighterZ, even though it's still such a new game and it's still really early days, I hope that it does make it into the announcement and the lineups for this. Just because I think that game has a lot of potential to become like the big thing to bring more numbers into the FGC, and more numbers are better for everyone, let's face it. Don't you want to see this scene explode? I know I do. And then we have CPT details probably going to be released in the next few weeks. I think it's like, I feel like they usually announce it late February. So it's either late February, early March, or mid-February, around that time period. Either way, we'll probably see some more news from it in the next few weeks. And hopefully it's all good stuff. Very excited to see where we go. And Street Fighter V, of course, Arcade Edition, still relatively new. People are still finding out new things on that game. So, you know, like, again, that's exciting. Kind of looking forward to seeing where the tier list will go as well. So I guess 2018 is shaping up to be a hell of a year for fighting game fans. Once again, this is 1-2 Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. Thank you very much for joining in, everyone, and hopefully see you all next week.